Looking for magic cards? At flipsidegaming.com you can now use the promo code LVD to get a 10% discount on orders over $10 while supporting the channel at the same time. Hello and welcome to another episode of Wacky Wednesday, a weekly series where we explore wacky deck ideas in both Standard and Modern, and this week we're taking a look at 5 color Hondens in Modern. This is an enchantment deck running all the legendary enchantments from Kamigawa. They all have the subtype of Shrine, and they all get better the more shrines we have in play. So let's take a look at the 5 different Hondens. We've got the red one that at the beginning of our upkeep deals damage to target creature or player equal to the number of shrines we control. We've got the black one that makes an opponent discard cards for each shrine we control. We've got the white one that gains 2 life for each shrine we control. We've got the blue one that lets us draw a card for each shrine we control. And finally the green one that makes a 1/1 colorless spirit token for each shrine we control. So of course having all 5 of them in play is very powerful, since you get to deal 5 damage to target creature or player, make the opponent discard their entire hand basically, gain 10 life, draw 5 cards and make 5 1/1 spirit tokens. So of course the goal of the deck is to try and get as many Hondens in play as possible. They are legendary enchantments, so we can only have one of the same Honden in play at the same time, which is why we only play 2 copies of each, since drawing too many of the same one is detrimental. So let's take a look at the entire list, starting out with our 1-drops, where we have some mana acceleration. We've got 4 copies of Utopia Sprawl, which is a 1-mana enchantment that can enchant one of our forests. And as Utopia Sprawl enters battlefield, we have to choose a color, and whenever we tap the enchanted forest, we can add 1 mana of the chosen color to our mana pool. So this is a nice way to fix our mana and to ramp us, while still being an enchantment, which is relevant, as you'll see in just a bit. Then we have 4 copies of Arbor Elf, which is a 1-mana 1/1 that can tap to untap target forest, which by itself is just like adding 1 green mana to your mana pool, but in combination with enchantments like Utopia Sprawl is a lot better, since if you can untap a forest that's enchanted by Utopia Sprawl, it's like adding 2 mana to your mana pool, and the more Utopia Sprawls that are on the enchanted land, the more mana we can make. And then we also have 2 copies of Birds of Paradise that just makes 1 mana of any color, so that's also a nice way to fix our mana while ramping us. Then we also have 2 copies of Fertile Ground, which is basically a more expensive version of Utopia Sprawl, but the advantage here is that it can enchant any land, and we can choose the color of mana that it makes as we tap the land, rather than having to choose it beforehand. Then we also have 4 copies of Herald of the Pantheon, which is a 2-mana 2/2 that makes our enchantment spells cost 1 generic mana less to cast, which of course is great when most of your cards are enchantments, and whenever we cast an enchantment spell we also get to gain 1 life, which is also a nice way to stay alive. Then of course we have 2 of our red Honden. We have 1 copy of Paradox Haze, which is a very interesting card that you don't see very often. So this is an enchant player aura, and at the beginning of enchanted player's first upkeep each turn, that player gets an additional upkeep step. So this essentially means that we get to double up on all our Honden effects. So if we have 2 Hondens in play, rather than just getting 2 of each ability, we get 4 of each, which of course is very powerful. Then we have 1 copy of Courser of Kruphix, which is an enchantment creature, so plays well with our enchantment theme. Courser lets us play with the top card of our library revealed, and we can play the top card of our library if it's a land card, and whenever a land enters the battlefield under our control, we also get to gain 1 life, so just a nice value engine to create some card advantage. Then we have 1 copy of Oblivion Ring as a catch-all answer for all sorts of permanents. We've got 3 copies of Kruphix's Insight, which might be one of the more important cards in the deck. So Kruphix's Insight is a 3-mana sorcery that lets us reveal the top 6 cards of our library, and we can put up to 3 enchantment cards from among those into our hand, and the rest goes to our graveyard. So just a great way to find our different Hondens, and just to generate some card advantage, since for 1 card we get to draw 3 cards most of the time. Then we have 2 copies of Ghostly Prison, which is great against creature decks, making the opponent pay 2 mana for each creature that's attacking us. Then we have 2 of the Black Honden, which is great against combo and control decks. We've got 2 copies of the White Honden, which of course shines against burn decks and other aggro decks. Then we have 4 copies of Eidolon of Blossoms, which is another very important card advantage engine in a deck. A 4-mana 2/2 enchantment creature with Constellation that says whenever Eidolon of Blossoms or another enchantment enters the battlefield under our control, we get to draw a card, so this is a great way to go through the deck and find our different Hondens. Then of course another great way to gain card advantage is with the blue Honden, letting us draw a lot of cards. And finally we have the green Honden, which is probably our best win condition, making a lot of 1/1 spirit tokens every turn. The spirits don't have flying, they're just 1/1 colorless spirit tokens, but they're still pretty great at killing an opponent. And finally we have 1 copy of Sphere of Safety, which is a bigger version of Ghostly Prison, so this makes the opponent pay X mana for each attacking creature, where X is the number of enchantments we control, and this number is often high enough that our opponent just doesn't get to attack us at all. Then quickly going over the mana base, of course we do need a lot of forests, since Utopia Sprawl can only enchant forests. So we have 4 basic forests, 1 basic plains, then a whole bunch of shocklands which are all forests as well, 1 breeding pool, 1 stomping ground, 1 overgrown tomb, and 2 temple gardens, since we do have quite a few white cards also in the sideboard, and then a whole bunch of fetch lands to get our different colors. We've got 3 Misty Rainforest, 4 Wooded Foothills, and 4 Windswept Heath, so we can get the right shockland at the right time, and we can always just go get a basic forest if we don't want to pay more life. Then quickly going over the sideboard, we have 2 copies of Nyx-Fleece Ram against burn decks. As an 05, that's an enchantment creature, and at the beginning of our upkeep we gain 1 life, so this also combos with our Paradox Haze. Then we have some Graveyard Hate in Rest in Peace, which is also an enchantment. Same with Stony Silence against artifact decks, an additional Ghostly Prison against creature decks, 4 copies of Leyline, mostly against burn decks and decks with a lot of hand disruption, 3 copies of Spreading Seas against the big mana decks like Tron, and finally 1 additional Kruphix's Insight for the more grindy matchups where we want some more card advantage. So that's the deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Alright, we're on draw here with an okay looking hand. So this hand could fall apart if our opponent answers the Arbor Elf right away, but I think it's still worth it. Tapped Sacred Foundry, so probably not burn, and Temple Garden is a nice one. I think I'll play that untapped, so we can postpone the decision on what to fetch with the Rainforest until next turn. Unclaimed Territory. What does it name? Ally. Alright, so we're up against an ally deck. So Ghostly Prison is probably going to be great. So that's a mana dork that makes mana for each ally they control. Fertile Ground is a nice draw. So I think we can just get a basic forest in that case. Yeah, we can Fertile Ground the forests. Untap it with Arbor Elf. And run out Herald. Say go. Alright, there's Oran Reef Survivalist, so that adds +1/+1 counters whenever they play an ally. And a Lantern Scout. Alright, so we untap, find an Arbor Elf. So first things first, we probably want to get out this Eidolon of Blossoms, start drawing more cards. Could also run out the Black Honden, but our opponent's going to empty their hand rather quickly here thanks to the Druid. So we'd rather draw more cards ourselves. Add a green, untap it, and I guess add a white. Run out Eidolon. Draw a card. Find a Utopia Sprawl. I think our plan is still to just run out the Ghostly Prison here. Draw another card, gain some more life. And then next turn we'll have a pretty nice turn where we can run out another Utopia Sprawl, make more mana with Arbor Elf. That pumps all their allies. They also gain lifelink thanks to the Lantern Scout. And their opponent can use the Druid here to make their creatures attack. But I think I'm okay trading for the Lantern Scout here. Let's trade here. Find another Arbor Elf. Let's make green. Play Utopia Sprawl. I think we just name green here. Draw a card with Eidolon. Alright, Sphere of Safety, that's the card we were looking for. So we can tap this for white, untap it, tap it for green, run out Sphere of Safety, draw a card, run out Arbor Elf, and say go. Sword of Body and Mind, alright. Luckily the spirit tokens are colorless, so they will be able to block. So our opponent won't be able to attack this turn, and our goal is to never let them attack ever again. So let's untap, find a Kruphix's Insight. So I think we just dump all our Hondens this turn. So let's start by making some black, untap, Make some blue. Run out Life's Web. Draw a card. Find a birds. It's untap. Run out Cleansing Fire here, which I think is more important than a Knight's Reach. Draw a card. I think we're better off just playing out the birds and the Arbor Elf. And saying go. So our opponent needs to pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana, 8, 9 mana total to be able to attack. So they won't be able to attack with the Survivalist here. Opponent plays an Evangel, can give their creatures protection, but again, being colorless spirit tokens here is actually irrelevant. End of turn will fetch, get a Breeding Pool, untap, gain 4 life, make 2 spirits. Find a Herald, so let's start by casting Kruphix's Insight here. Find a lot of goodies, another Ghostly Prison, Paradox Haze, and I guess we'll get Utopia Sprawl as well. Play Utopia Sprawl, name blue, draw a card, tap this for a whole bunch of mana. Run out Herald first. Run out Ghostly Prison. Draw a card. Run out Paradox Haze. Draw a card. Run out Honden. Draw a card. Run out another Honden. And run out the birds. And say go. Alright, so we do need to be careful not to deck ourselves here, so we kind of want to find the red Honden as soon as possible. Core Blade Whirl isn't gonna do much here. Alright. Alright, so let's run out the red Honden. And we definitely don't want to cast any more enchantments if we can avoid it. So let's just run out our Herald of the Pantheon. And I guess play a tap land. Alright, so can we make any attacks here? Not really. So we'll wait until next turn. And then discard a bunch of enchantments that we don't need. Bunch of lands. We can still draw into our Oblivion Ring to get rid of our blue Honden if we want to. So it's not guaranteed that we're gonna deck ourselves here. Opponent moves the equipment. Get to untap. I think we're better off killing the opponent's creatures here. Alright, let's do it over again. And I guess kill the Evangel. So we did not draw into our Oblivion Ring, which is a bit worrisome here, since next turn we will end up drawing our entire deck. And if we play out Kruphix's Insight, those cards go to the graveyard. So I think what we have to do here is play enchantments one by one until we draw into the Oblivion Ring and hope that it's not our last card. I guess we can start by attacking. Attack with all. Alright, so let's run out Courser. Draws a card with Eidolon. Alright, and we drew the Oblivion Ring right away. Awesome. So let's run out Oblivion Ring. Draw a card with Eidolon. and then get rid of our own blue Honden, so that we don't deck. And then we'll discard a bunch of cards. Alright, that should have things covered. On to sideboarding against 5-color allies. So don't really want Leyline. Ghostly Prison looks good. Nyx-Fleece Ram could be okay. Spreading Seas could be annoying for the opponent, but I don't think we want to bring it in. So I think just the Ghostly Prison. And what do we take out? The black Honden doesn't seem great since the opponent can empty their hand rather quickly. And I think that's it. So let's just submit this. I think this hand's a little too slow on the draw. So we'll go to 6. And yep, that's better. Not a particularly great draw since we just have mana and Oblivion Ring. So we'll put land on the bottom. So we do need to draw into one of our card advantage engines, but at least we'll have the early mana to cast our more expensive spells. Utopia Sprawl means we'll lead with Arbor Elf. Say go. Just a tapped Temple Garden. So our opponent might have a rather slow or reactive draw here. We're just gonna enchant our land here. Could have run out a land first, but we're not gonna use all the mana anyways. Opponent's gonna bolt the Arbor Elf. We could have untapped in response. Name white, and I guess we'll fetch for a forest here. So playing maybe a bit fast and loose here, but we do have only 13 minutes left, so I want to make sure to be able to play out all games, should it come to that. Alright, Herald of the Pantheon. Play this tapped. Run out Heralds. Say go. Mina and Den. Alright. There's Eidolon of Blossoms, what we were looking for here. So let's run out Eidolon. Draw a card. Find a Courser. Yeah, I'm okay with playing Courser here. No land on top, but we did draw Kruphix's Insight. Opponent attacks, we'll just take it here. Arbor Elf to draw, let's play out Wooded Foothills with our Courser. Let's run out Sphere of Safety first, I think. Misty Rainforest on top, we can shuffle that away. Get another forest. Gain a life. Honden is a nice one. So we could Oblivion Ring the Mina and Den, but I don't think we need to. So let's just play another Arbor Elf and attack for a bunch. Opponent's got a Collected Company response, so perhaps should have been more careful there when attacking. But looks like they completely bricked, so they didn't find any creatures. Take 6 down to 14. So that's unlucky on the opponent's part. They might have another company in hand. Instead Blade Master. So that's First Strike Vigilance and also gets +1/+1 counters. Opponent has to pay 4 if they want to attack with Mina and Den, so they just have to pass. Draw into our Honden. Think we start by casting Kruphix's Insight here. And we only find a Paradox Haze, that's unfortunate. And Arbor Elf on top. I guess we just run out our Honden of Life's Web here. Could cast another Kruphix's Insight. So let's tap this. Run out Honden. Draw the Arbor Elf. Play the Misty Rainforest on top. And I guess we can run out the Paradox Haze here. Enchanting ourselves. Drawing the Windswept Heath. Alright, so not a bad turn. So we'll get to make 2 spirits next turn. Alright, let's play out Eidolon. Draw 2 cards. Find another Honden on top. Let's enchant the forest. Draw 2 cards. Play the Windswept Heath with Courser. Fetch. Get a Stomping Ground. Run out another Utopia Sprawl. Draw 2. Tap for mana, run out Honden. Draw some more cards. Alright, there's a red Honden, that's the one we want. So let's untap this. Run out the Honden. Draw 2 more cards, and we're not gonna play out our blue Honden at this point, since otherwise we're gonna risk decking. Guess we can run out Ghostly Prison, just because. That's probably good enough for the turn. So let's say go. And we basically don't need to cast another spell for the rest of the game here. Opponent with a Chord of Calling for 5. Not sure what that's gonna be. Seagate Loremaster. Alright, that lets them draw a bunch of cards. Let's discard. Opponent can make us discard a card with their Thief. So I guess we won't reveal the Oblivion Ring. And I guess we won't reveal the red Honden. Opponent makes us discard Eidolon of Blossoms. Alright, so let's shoot down the card drawer. Opponent with a Company in response. Things are getting pretty messy here. Alright, a Druid. Just 2 Druids, so that's a lot of mana. And 2 triggers with a Thief. So their opponent gets to take a look at their entire hand. They probably take Oblivion Ring. That's fine. And they take Ghostly Prison as well. Alright, so card drawer is dead. And I guess we'll shoot down one of the mana dudes, so their opponent can't pay for Ghostly Prison. Alright, so we drew a Ghostly Prison for the turn. I guess it's pretty safe to run that out, in case we draw into the black Honden. Alright, let's just play this tapped. And I think we just say go here. Next turn we can start attacking with everyone. Lantern Scout could be annoying if our opponent gets to attack here, but I don't think they can. Get some more triggers. Let's shoot down the Mana Dork. There's another Company. So a whole bunch of triggers. Opponent can give their creatures protection from red with the Evangel, so we won't be able to kill the mana creature this turn. So I guess we'll just shoot our opponent. Draw Arbor Elf. No great attacks here, so we'll just say go. Our opponent gets some more triggers. Opponent still doesn't have enough mana to attack with their creatures. I think just to be safe, I'll kill the Lantern Scout. And our opponent concedes. Awesome, on to the next one. Alright, we're on the draw, but unfortunately we have a pretty slow hand with no mana acceleration whatsoever, so I don't think we can keep this. Alright, this is a bit better. And Fertile Ground, yeah, I think we can keep that on top. It's not great, but it does give us something to do on turn 2. And if our birds dies, we want to make sure to play the Eidolon on 3. Marsh flats into Overgrown Tomb, so this could be a green-black mid-range deck. As we see a Thoughtseize, which is probably gonna take our Eidolon. Interesting, our opponent takes the Birds of Paradise, so they might either have a second Thoughtseize, or they don't have any removal for the birds. I think we're just gonna run out fetch land, say go. And then probably fetch a Temple Garden end of turn. Tarmogoyf as a 3/4. Now we have the choice of Herald or Fertile Ground. I think we just go with the Fertile Ground since I don't want to really expose the Herald to a removal spell. Even though keeping the Fertile Ground until after the Eidolon of course has its benefits. But yeah, getting the Herald killed and not being able to play Eidolon next turn would be kind of a disaster. So I think we'll just go fetch 2 forests since I don't want to lose a life. And Fertile Ground can fix our mana anyways. Of course, this will come back to bite us if our opponent Abrupt Decays or Fertile Ground. But yeah, we should have gotten a Temple Garden there end of turn. And then the Fertile Ground on the forest. So Tarmogoyf is gonna hit us pretty hard, but hopefully the Honden can gain us some life back together with the Herald. Alright, if we don't see anything pre-combat to blow up or make us discard our enchantments, that's good, since otherwise our opponent would have done that pre-combat to grow the Tarmogoyf. Instead, another Herald of the Pantheon. So I think we just run out the Eidolon over double Herald here, even though double Herald is tempting. Opponent kept up their fetch to maybe Fatal Push the Eidolon, but still get to draw our card back, which is good. And there's the fetch lands. For Fatal Push is my guess. Alright, Temple Garden means our opponent's on Abzan. And there's a Fatal Push. So this will grow the Goyf, now a 5/6, pretty big. And another Idol on the draw, that's good. Ideally we would like to find something like a Ghostly Prison or Sphere of Safety to slow down the Tarmogoyf. But even just finding more Hondens to go with our Cleansing Fire is good enough. And our opponent's not doing much, so they might have a hand with a lot of removal spells. As we see a Courser of Kruphix, which is also an interesting one that we could play here and potentially play a land off the top. So let's do that. Run out a Herald, and our opponent can't really respond until after we've cast the Courser of Kruphix, unless they want to blow up the Fertile Ground. So let's make some green, run out Courser, gain a life, and hope to hit a land off the top. Alright, perfect. And a Kruphix's Insight on top, that's super spicy. We don't have a ton of mana to go with the Insight, that's the only problem. But of course it can draw us into a lot of goodies, so I think we'll probably keep that on top unless something drastic happens this turn. Shambling Vent gets animated, that's fine. We can just block that with a Courser. So let's go to blocks, and I think I'll still take the hit from the Tarmogoyf. And I think I'll draw the Kruphix's Insight, so we're not gonna fetch here. Arbor Elf on top. Could also choose to run out our Herald and some other enchantments this turn before running out the Insight, which could also be fine here. If we run out another Herald, we've got 3 mana left, and this only costs us 2. So if we get lucky on the top of our deck, we could also run out the Honden, so I think I like that actually. So let's run out Herald of the Pantheon, number 2. And then tap this for green, run out Eidolon, gain 2 from our Heralds. And drawing Arbor Elf is not the end of the world, since that can always just chump a Tarmogoyf. Alright, Wooded Foothills on top, excellent. Another Kruphix's Insight on top. I'm tempted to keep that, but I kind of want to get this Honden in play, so I'm gonna do that instead. So we'll have to take 2 from the Temple Garden, but we gain 1 from Courser, and then we'll get a forest as well. And run out Honden, which also draws us into another Eidolon here, which is nice. So a very good turn for us here. Even if our opponent Thoughtseizes or Inquisitions or Kruphix's Insight, we have a lot of card advantage engines going. I guess we could have attacked with our creatures here, but it's probably not going to come down to 2 or 4 damage. And I would rather keep our creatures back just in case. Alright, our opponent packs it in. So up against Abzan midrange, so ley lines could be good. Of course our opponent could have ways to deal with the ley line, so it's not gonna win us the game on the spot. I do like an additional Kruphix's Insight as well, and 2 copies of Rest in Peace should be okay as well, as it shuts down Tarmogoyf, Lingering Souls, potential Grimflayers. Then what don't we want? Paradox Haze might be a little too cute in this matchup, where our opponent gets to shred our hand. Perhaps we don't want all 4 ley lines and we just want 2 of them, since otherwise we're bringing in a few too many cards perhaps. Then Honden of Cleansing Fire, we can shave at least 1 copy. Could also see shaving some Heralds of the Pantheon, and perhaps a Birds of Paradise. Try something like this. Seems okay. Alright, this opening hand is quite interesting. We do have Utopia Sprawl into Kruphix's Insight, so I'm gonna keep. So even if they take 1 Kruphix's Insight, we have the second one. And Utopia Sprawl is a nice way to start. Alright, we even picked up an Arbor Elf. So we do have the option of just running out Arbor Elf first, which is the most explosive. So let's just get a Forest for now. Run out Arbor Elf. And if our opponent has to spend their second turn casting Fatal Push on Arbor Elf, that's not that bad for us, especially if they don't have an Inquisition or Thoughtseize as well. They might just play a 2-drop creature here. No, Abrupt Decay on Arbor Elf, okay. So they could have also just decayed the Utopia Sprawl, so that's fine. So we don't get to play turn 2 Kruphix's Insight. So instead, we'll just run out Utopia Sprawl on Forest. And say go. And I think I'll name blue here. Say go. And then we can either fetch a black land or a red land here with the Wooded Foothills. Tarmogoyf, pretty big. So end of turn, let's fetch. And I think I'm gonna go with a tapped Overgrown Tomb here. Alright, Eidolon of Blossoms is a nice one. So we could Kruphix's Insight, or we can just Eidolon of Blossoms. Replaces itself, yeah, that seems pretty good here. Kind of forces the opponent to answer our Eidolon as well. Otherwise we get to draw even more cards. And we kind of want to hit land drops as well to run out a Sphere. Oblivion Ring is also an excellent one. So we're in decent shape here. But of course that can quickly change. So we don't have double whites in case we draw a Leyline. And we don't have red mana in case we find a red Honden. Liliana we can answer with Oblivion Ring if we want to. Opponent forces us to sacrifice our Eidolon. Opponent hits us for 4. Alright, we find a Courser of Kruphix. So it is tempting to run out Courser, but we don't even have something to play even if we do hit a land off the top. Our opponent could have a second Liliana in hand, in which case using the Oblivion Ring right away on Liliana could be bad for us. And also, I don't really mind discarding something to the Liliana right now. Of course, the risk is that our opponent just plays a Thoughtseize or Inquisition, takes our Oblivion Ring, and we can't answer the Liliana, but I think that's fine. So this turn we have to choose between Courser and Kruphix's Insight, essentially. Kruphix's Insight can potentially find us more Utopia Sprawls, which we can play this turn. It's probably better to run out our Courser here. So let's run out Courser of Kruphix, hope to find a land on top. And we do, awesome. Gain a life. And say go. And I'm not sure yet if we want to draw this Temple Garden or if we want to fetch it away. Maelstrom Pulse to clear the Courser. So that could have also killed our Oblivion Ring. Opponent makes us discard. Think we discard our Honden here. Opponent just discards a land. Goyf hits us for 5. And I think I will fetch away the Temple Garden, just because we have enough lands here to cast our 5-drop. And now the question is, do we get a Stomping Ground or a Temple Garden? I think I go for Temple Garden here. Untap, find Herald of a Pantheon, that's a nice one. So we can run out Herald and Oblivion Ring. Can also run out Herald and Kruphix's Insight, but I think I want to take care of this Liliana right now. So yeah, let's Herald. And Oblivion Ring. Gain a life. And I think Liliana's going to be more problematic than the Tarmogoyf, since we have the Sphere of Safety in hand. And we have to just hope to dodge a Thoughtseize or another Maelstrom Pulse. So let's say go. Opponent fetches end of turn. Do they have another removal spell for the Herald? Not right now, it looks like. Do they have a second Liliana? Nope, they're just animating Shambling Vent. So we'll happily take 7 here. Honden of Cleansing Fire. So yeah, let's just run out our Sphere of Safety. We have 3 enchantments in place. Our opponent can still attack us with Tarmogoyf. So if they can kill our Herald, we are dead. But they only have 1 card in hand at the moment. Looks like Tarmogoyf is attacking, so we do have to chump here. So let's go to blocks. Stay at 4 life. And a Lingering Souls, that's not a big deal with a Sphere of Safety in play. Alright, so our opponent is empty-handed, but we do need to find something to answer the Tarmogoyf. And Honden of Life's Web is not going to do it here. So let's see, we can Kruphix his Insight, hope to find some cheap enchantments, but our opponent has plenty of lands. I think it's still our best bet to Kruphix his Insight here. And we did find a Leyline and a Ghostly Prison. Fortunately, we don't have the 3rd land to run out the Ghostly Prison, otherwise we might have gotten there. So unfortunately this game we did have the card advantage, but our opponent just had an early Tarmogoyf that was able to get there all the way. Alright, so Tarmogoyf kills us, and we'll move on to a game 3 here. So do we want to change anything? So we didn't see any hand disruption that game, but I don't think our opponent has taken any out. And Leyline still saves us from Liliana. Perhaps we shave a red Honden and bring back a Birds of Paradise for that acceleration. Could also consider a 3rd Ghostly Prison, but it's kind of awkward if our opponent has a Maelstrom Pulse to kill multiple copies. So I think we'll just try this configuration. Would like to be on the play. And this hand is pretty spicy. We have Leyline and Rest in Peace along with the birds. So this is risky if our birds get killed right away, or if we miss on the 2nd land, but I think I'm willing to keep. Just for science, start with a Leyline. So the only clean way our opponent has of answering birds is a Fatal Push. And then if we find a 2nd land or a white source, or if our bird survives, we get to run out Rest in Peace, which makes Goyf less of an issue. Of course, we do have some of our expensive enchantments in hand as well, but hopefully this Leyline start is good enough. So take 2, run out a bird. Say go. Alright, there's a swamp. Do we see Fatal Push? We do. So we do need to find a fetch land here, and we do. Awesome. So let's get a Temple Garden. Run out Rest in Peace. And say go. So now we have to hope our opponent's hand is full of hand disruption and Tarmogoyfs. Tapped Shambling Vent, go, that's good. Another Leyline, so we're not doing much here. Have to find some more lands to be able to run out our expensive enchantments. Liliana would be slightly annoying since she can still force us to discard, but we do have an Oblivion Ring to answer her if we find a 3rd land. Opponent just says go. Fertile Ground is a nice one. So let's enchant our Overgrown Tomb. Say go. Opponent fetches for a Plains. So they might be playing around Blood Moon, or they just want to preserve their life total. Shambling Vent gets in when they still have 6 cards in hand, so this Leyline might be doing overtime together with Rest in Peace. Stomping Ground a draw, so let's play that tapped. Say go. Could have also played it untapped and played a Leyline, but I think we're better off saving the Leyline in case our opponent Maelstrom pulses the first one, so don't want to run out both at the same time. Alright, Shambling Vent just keeps beating down, but if we find a land next turn we can run out Sphere of Safety, which will put a stop to the Shambling Vent beats. Alright, awesome. So we get to fetch a forest. Run out Sphere of Safety. Say go. So now our opponent has to pay 4, so there's no way that the Shambling Vent is attacking. And then we can start running out our Honden to start providing our own clock. Gavany Township, that's an interesting one. And there's a sad 0-1 Tarmogoyf. Opponent casts a Lingering Souls, which gets exiled so they don't get to flash it back. Utopia Sprawl, so let's just run out our Honden here. Say go. Our best draws include our blue Honden or a Kruphix's Insight. Eidolon of Blossoms would also be great. Guess we'll just run out Utopia Sprawl and I'm gonna enchant the forest just in case. Name blue and say go. Gavany Township gets activated end of turn. But opponent has to pay 6 mana to attack with a creature. There's Dark Confident. That's something we want to Oblivion Ring if possible, so that our opponent doesn't gain any card advantage. End of turn, I guess I'll fetch. Get a tapped Temple Garden. Get a Spirits. And we'll just Oblivion Ring right now. And get rid of Dark Confidence. Say go. And I'm gonna keep the land in hand in case our opponent plays a Liliana, makes us discard. Opponent keeps activating Township. So now we just need to find one of our card advantage engines to make sure that we can keep up on the enchantment count, since if our opponent does just blow up Sphere of Safety with a Maelstrom Pulse, we are in trouble. Keep drawing lands, which isn't great. Run out Foothills, say go. We might actually be getting to the point where we should be running out the Leyline just to increase our enchantment count, since at this point our opponent is most likely to blow up our Sphere of Safety than there are multiple Leylines. Since now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they could start attacking with a Spirit Token here, which we can't block with our Spirit Tokens. So yeah, we probably should have run out our Leyline of Sanctity, but looks like our opponent has drawn plenty of lands already. Interesting, we don't see an attack from the Spirit Token yet. So in that case, I'm gonna fetch. Get a tapped Breeding Pool. Don't have a lot of lands left in the deck. Fertile Grounds, so I think we're just gonna play out our entire hand here. And I guess we'll Fertile Ground another land just to play around a random Ghost Quarter. Township end of turn, so the Spirit now a 5/5. And looks like a Spirit is getting in there. Opponent has to pay 9. And looks like our opponent has enough. Barely. So yeah, we have to take the damage. And we have one draw step here to get out of this. And the blue Honden is gonna be too late, since our opponent has enough lands to pay for one more enchantment, so it's gotta be Kruphix's Insight or Eidolon of Blossoms into more enchantments. Alright, that's step 1. Alright, there's our Kruphix's Insight. Don't have a ton of mana left, but we just need to find 1 or 2 cheap enchantments here. And looks like instead we just found all our expensive enchantments. So while we would be able to turn the corner here next turn, it looks like we're just 1 turn short here. So we just have to say go, and if our opponent remembers to pay all their taxes on the Sphere of Safety, we will be dead. So yeah, had we drawn into another one of our Fertile Grounds or Utopia Sprawls, or even better a Ghostly Prison, we would have been able to have enough enchantments in place so our opponent couldn't attack us. So that's unfortunate. Felt like we were favorites here, but our opponent drew enough lands to have a lethal Spirit Token, thanks to the Gavany Township. But oh well. Just drew our card advantage engines a little too late here. Alright, on to the next one. Alright, we're on the play. And this hand looks like a keep. We've got some mana acceleration and 2 Hondens. So let's lead with Breeding Pool into Arbor Elf. And this Windswept Heath is probably gonna go get a Stomping Ground, but not sure yet, so we could end up getting a Temple Garden instead, or just a forest. Faithless Looting, so this looks like the Mardu deck. as we see Dark Confidant and another Faithless Looting. Alright, we draw another Honden, which could be good if our mana acceleration survives. So we could just run out a Honden here, or we can run out the Herald to set up one of our more expensive Hondens the turn after, which I don't mind. So let's just play this tapped and run out Herald of the Pantheon. And I think I would rather save 2 life than attack for 1. So let's say go. And hope our 2 mana creatures survive here. Inquisition can only take our red Honden. And if they don't have a Fatal Push or Lightning Bolt, we will get to resolve our Honden of Seeing Winds, which is going to be awesome here. Alright, we're going to bolt the Herald. And we picked up another 5 mana enchantment, so at this point we do need to draw lands. So let's get in for 1. And now the Windswept Heath can go get a Temple Garden instead of a Stomping Ground. Steam Vent's interesting, so opponent on Grixis. And Thing in the Ice, that's fine. And a Lightning Bolt on the Arbor Elf, so now we need 2 more mana sources to run out our 5 mana enchantments. So that's unfortunate. I don't think we want to fetch yet with the Windswept Heath, since we want to keep as many lands in our deck as possible. Fertile Ground, at least our opponent can't kill with a Lightning Bolt, so that's a good one. Guess we'll enchant the Overgrown Tomb. Say go. And then hope to draw land next turn. Claim. Alright, so our opponent gets their Dark Confidant back. And Fame, so they give it +2/+0 and haste until end of turn. And that's also 2 spells for a Thing in the Ice, which now has only 1 counter left. Do they have 1 more cheap spell in their hand to transform Thing in the Ice? I guess that's a bit of a numbo, because then they bounce the Dark Confidant. But I guess then they have a Dark Confidant in hand. Looks like just an attack for 4, which we will take. Let's just run out an Arbor Elf. And unfortunately our opponent has Faithless Looting in hand, so that means they will get to transform their Thing in the Ice. So that means we still need to draw a land to run out our 5 mana enchantments. Dark Confidant reveals another Dark Confidant. Alright, our opponent runs out another Thing in the Ice rather than flashing back Faithless Looting. So that does give us a little bit more time here, potentially. And another Dark Confidant. Alright, so we will get to cast one of our 5 mana enchantments. And our Confidant does attack, which is interesting. We could block with Arbor Elf, but I want to ensure that we get to cast one of our 5 mana enchantments here, so I'm not going to. And there's no need to fetch here, since there's an Urborg in play and we can make white mana with Fertile Ground. Let's untap, find another Honden. Next turn our opponent can attack us with a Thing in the Ice if they flashback Faithless Looting, so if we run out Sphere of Safety and they don't draw a land, then they can't attack us with the Thing in the Ice, so I think that's probably our priority, staying alive. So even though I'd like to get this blue Honden in play, we probably need to lead with Sphere of Safety here. Let's say go. Dark Confidant reveals Vampire Hexmage and another Thing in the Ice, so Hexmage is a nice combo with Thing in the Ice, I guess, since they can remove all of the ice counters from it at once, and then they only need to cast 1 spell to transform the Thing in the Ice. There's a Snapcaster Mage, probably gonna Lightning Bolt, but they should probably Lightning Bolt our face, since otherwise Thing in the Ice transforms and Arbor Elf gets bounced back. So yeah, they Lightning Bolt our face. Opponent now has 2 Awoken Horrors, but they can't attack this turn, so we're not dead yet. Alright, Wooded Foothills a draw, that's good, since now we get to run out one of our Hondens. And yeah, if we don't run out one of our enchantments, our opponent can attack with both Awoken Horrors. So I think running out our Honden here is just better. So our opponent needs to pay 3 for each attacking creature. So hopefully they don't have a land here. We know they have 2 Dark Confidants in hand, so it looks like they're just attacking with 1 Horror. Of course, if they have a Lightning Bolt, we're also dead. Alright, so we're gonna take 7, down to 2, and are confident to play for the opponents. We get a token from our Life's Web, find Eidolon of Blossoms. So Eidolon of Blossoms also lets us run out Arbor Elf, since that way we have multiple chump blockers in case our opponent has some removal spells. But of course getting the Seeing Winds down early lets us draw more cards. Yeah, I think I still like running out our Eidolon here. So let's make green mana. Run out Eidolon. Draw another Eidolon, run out Arbor Elf. And of course Eidolon does count as an enchantment, so your opponent now has to pay 4 to attack with Awoken Horror. And now we have plenty of chump blockers, although yeah, Lightning Bolt is just gonna finish us off here, unfortunately. So pretty close. Just our opponent disrupting our early mana acceleration significantly slowed us down. So let's see what we want to do here after sideboard. So Ghostly Prison could be okay. So Leyline of Sanctity looks pretty appealing, since that way your opponent can't burn us out or play hand disruption spells. And Ghostly Prison could be okay as well. Same with another Kruphix's Insight, so these are all potential includes. Don't think Rest in Peace is good enough to play here, same with Nyx-Fleece Ram. So what do we take out? I do like Honden of Infinite Rage against Dark Confidence, so I'll keep all of those in. Paradox Haze might be a little too cute in this matchup. And then I could see shaving some number of Heralds, as our opponent does have quite a bit of spot removal as well. So maybe we shave a Birds or two. And then maybe we don't need all the extra Kruphix's Insights. Just try this. Would like to be on the play. So at this hand, I think a little too slow. No mana acceleration, lots of expensive cards. So let's mulligan. This isn't much better, it's almost identical. But now we do have 2 lands and a scry, so I think I'll keep. And put that on the bottom. Play out a tapped Temple Garden, say go. So we do have 2 3-mana enchantments that we can play. So we just need to find a 3rd land. Alright, Utopia Sprawl is a nice one. So let's Utopia Sprawl Temple Garden. I guess we name black, since if we get to untap and draw land, we can just run out the Honden of Night's Reach and I'll get a Stomping Ground with the Misty Rainforest here. There's a Kiln Fiend. Alright, can't kill that with a Honden unless we have 2 of them in play. We might be better off running out the Ghostly Prison first. Depends what we draw this turn. So let's get Stomping Ground. Alright, so we drew a land, so we could run out Honden of Night's Reach here, make the opponent discard on our upkeep, and then Honden of Infinite Rage can maybe kill the Kiln Fiend. But that is gonna take a few turns to set up, and meanwhile the Kiln Fiend could be beating us to death. So we might be better off just leading with the Ghostly Prison, which buys us more time. Since our opponent's gonna have a hard time paying 2 while playing a bunch of spells for the Kiln Fiend. Thing in the Ice, that's fine. Alright, a land, so we could run out Sphere of Safety here, which is the safest play, no pun intended. Yeah, I think so. Well, of course it's better to get these Hondens in play as soon as possible, especially the discard one. I just don't want to run any risks here. Should have maybe grabbed a Breeding Pool there, just in case we find the blue Honden. But I do want to preserve our life total as much as possible here. And I think we'll be fine if we get these 2 Hondens in play, as our opponent will have a hard time attacking. We get to make them discard their entire hand, and then we can start pinging them to death. Opponent can't attack with Kiln Fiend, since they have to pay a total of 5 mana here. Draw Wooded Foothills, so that can get a Breeding Pool end of turn. We'll run out our Honden of Night's Reach. And say go. Dark Confidence we can deal with thanks to our Honden of Infinite Rage. End of turn, let's get a Breeding Pool. Opponent has to discard. And we find Honden of Life's Web, but I'm just gonna lead with the Infinite Rage. Opponent gets 1 draw with the Dark Confident, revealing another Kiln Fiend. Lightning Bolt to the face, puts us to 14. but that's about it. And a Snapcaster Bolt puts us to 11. So at some point we would like to find Leyline of Sanctity just to lock things up completely. So let's target the Dark Confidant here. Opponent's gonna have one card left, discarding Kiln Fiend and Fatal Push. Utopia Sprawl we can play, and we'll name white here so we can cast Leyline. So 3 Hondens in play already, and our opponent's just gonna scoop it up. Awesome. On to game 3. So what do we want to change? I think I do like our configuration here, so I don't think we need to change much. Rest in Peace is a consideration since our opponent did have Snapcaster as well as Claim to Fame, but I think it's a little too narrow, so I think we'll just run it back. Alright, this hand's awesome. We get to lead with a Leyline of Sanctity, and we have double Utopia Sprawl into Eidolon. Our opponent's not too happy about our Leyline of Sanctity, but they are complementing the deck, so that's nice. And here we'll name white, I guess. Say go. Mountain into Dark Confidant, so that could be an issue. Herald of the Pantheon to draw, so we can run out Herald. Run out Misty. Fetch a forest to preserve our life total, run out Utopia Sprawl, and we could save Utopia Sprawl for after the Eidolon, but I'm sure we'll drop plenty of cards already, so just want to be mana efficient here. And we've already named white, so I guess we'll name red here. Could have also named green, just in case we need to cast a lot of green spells with Eidolon, but we can always just get another forest with the Windswept Heath. Blood Crypt revealed from Confidence, our opponent doesn't take any damage. And a Thing in the Ice into Lightning Bolt perhaps. Yep, on the Herald. Alright, that's fine. So Confident does get to hit us, but next turn we get to play our Eidolon, start drawing some cards. Alright, another Utopia Sprawl is excellent, so let's go ahead and fetch first to thin out the deck. Get another forest. Run out Eidolon. Draw a card, run out Utopia Sprawl, and I think we'll name blue here. Draw another card, find a land, that's nice. So we've got the card advantage engines rolling here. Opponent picked up a Fatal Push, which, if they have a fetch land, can take out the Eidolon. It looks like just an untapped Steam Vents. And a Snapcaster Lightning Bolts on the Eidolon, that's fair. Confident gets in for 2, and we picked up a Fertile Ground, so we have a few options here. We have 7 mana at our disposal, so we could go Honden plus Fertile Ground, and I think I like that the most here since that's nice and mana efficient, and then next turn we'll have plenty of mana to Kruphix's Insight for some stuff. And I guess we can Fertile Ground one of our lands here first so that we don't need to crack the fetch land quite yet. So let's run out the Honden. Hope it doesn't get countered, it doesn't. So hopefully next turn we can find some of our lock pieces with Kruphix's Insight. A Lightning Bolt revealed with Dark Confidant, that could be a problem here, as our opponent might be able to flip their Thing in the Ice. But they're gonna have to Lightning Bolt their own Thing in the Ice, since we have the Leyline in play. And they will also bounce their Dark Confidant and Snapcaster. And they're gonna Fatal Push their own Dark Confidant, but of course Awoken Horror happens, so they get to bounce it rather than killing it, so that's a nice play from the opponent. And they're probably just gonna replay the Dark Confidant here. So we will start getting some chump blockers with our Honden, but our opponent can Snapcaster, Fatal Push or Bolt one of them. So this Kruphix's Insight has to be pretty good. We could fetch end of turn, but we have more forests we can fetch, so I think we'll just draw. Get a Spirit Token and find an Eidolon of Blossoms. I think we Kruphix's Insight first though. So let's play out Kruphix's Insight. And find Leyline, Honden and Ghostly Prison. Alright, that's not bad. Since we can now run out the Ghostly Prison to tax our opponent. Or we can run out another Eidolon, which provides a blocker for the Thing in the Ice. That might be better. So let's run out the Eidolon first. Draw a card, find an Arbor Elf, which is another blocker, so let's just play it safe, get a forest, run out Arbor Elf, and say go. So we have plenty of blockers for the Awoken Horror now, which is all that matters. Fatal Push revealed, alright, so that can definitely clear one blocker. So they're gonna Fatal Push the Eidolon here, and Snapcaster Push probably on the Arbor Elf. If they have another removal spell, then we are just dead to the Awoken Horror and our Confidence. Alright, looks like we get to chump block. So glad we played out the Arbor Elf there. Get another chump blocker, draw a land, so we can make black mana here. Run out Honden, and then run out Ghostly Prison. And say go. So we will go down to 1 here. Another Thing in the Ice revealed. They're gonna Faithless Looting. And of course if our opponent just kills a spirit and only attacks with Awoken Horror, we're also dead. Alright, looks like we do get to chump. So our opponent pays for everyone, and we fall to 1. But that does mean that we do need to top deck something relevant, otherwise we're just dead next turn. An Oblivion Ring is perfect. So now we have to decide whether to give our opponent the Dark Confidant or the Awoken Horror. I guess we get rid of Dark Confidant here. Even though our opponent might die to it, it's not gonna take us much to kill the opponent with our spirit tokens when they're at 6. So here we can't play out the Leyline, but that doesn't really matter. Say go. And hope our opponent doesn't draw into a removal spell. Faithless Looting flashed back. Alright, that's good, so even if they find a removal spell, they won't be able to pay for both creatures attacking. So we will get to block both. Make the opponent discard their last cards, get 2 more spirit tokens, and Leyline keeps us safe from top-decked lightning bolts. Misty Rainforest to draw. So I guess we'll just run out a Leyline here. And say go. So eventually we'll be able to go wide enough to kill the opponent here. So if things don't change drastically, we will win the game. Opponent's not even gonna bother attacking. Arbor Elf to draw. And I'm just gonna wait until we have enough creatures to make a lethal attack. So I'm not gonna attack with 2 spirits just to deal 1 damage here. Opponent's gonna play defense, they're gonna have to discard their last card. Another land to draw, unfortunately. Is there a reason to attack with everyone? I don't think so. Opponent could have stuff like Temur Battle Rage, but I guess we're dead anyways if they have that. So we'll just pass. Opponent discarded the Faithless Looting, which of course doesn't do much when you're empty-handed. So next turn we could attack with everyone. Vampire Hexmage, that's an additional blocker. So yeah, that does mean we don't get to attack with everyone for lethal. Another fetch land to draw. I think we say go once again here. We could attack our opponents so that they can't fetch with Polluted Delta, but I'm just gonna say go here, play it safe. Opponent flashes back Faithless Looting. They get to keep 1 card, and hopefully that 1 card isn't Temur Battle Rage. Thought Scour, so they get another redraw. Did they find what they were looking for? Nope, another Faithless Looting, but now they don't have enough mana to pay for the Ghostly Prison. So I think we got there. We got the GGs from our opponents, so that's gonna wrap things up. I wanna thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day. I also want to thank all my patrons for supporting the channel, and you can do so yourself as well over at patreon.com/LegenVD, where you get cool rewards for supporting the channel, as well as getting us closer to our goals, where with every goal reached, we will release an additional weekly series. So if you want to see more content, Patreon is the place to go.